If you've been scrolling through endless lists of red light panels, watching YouTubers hype up wavelengths and irradiance numbers, and still feel like you might end up with a gadget that'll sit in the corner and collect dust, this review is here to clear the fog. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've spent a good chunk of the past month setting up a small home studio, swapping panels, and actually using them before and after workouts. So let's break down whether the Advared AD Max lives up to the hype or just adds another piece of equipment you don't really need. First off, the biggest source of hesitation people have with any red light therapy device is that does it actually cover my whole body? You can't practically strap a 40-inch panel to your back and expect uniform exposure, and most compact models just give you a spot treatment that feels more like a novelty than a real therapy session. The AdMax's dimensions just under 40 inches wide and a little over 8 inches tall means you can stand directly in front of it and get decent coverage from head to toe, especially if you lean against a wall or mount it on a door frame. That footprint is large enough to let your limbs hang freely, which is a subtle but important detail. If you're trying to treat sore calves after a long run, you'll want them to be fully within the light field, not clipped at the edge. What really matters in everyday use is how the panel fits into your routine. I tried it in 3 realistic scenarios: a quick post-yoga cooldown, a dedicated 15-minute skin boost session before bed, and a longer 30-minute session after an intense leg day. The remote control and touchscreen make switching between the 5-wavelength mode and a single color mode almost painless. On a busy morning, you can set the timer for 10 minutes, press start, and walk out the door for a quick coffee run while the LEDs do their thing. The timer automatically shuts off, so there's no risk of leaving it on for hours and heating up the room. That safety net is a small thing, but it's the kind of practical convenience people rarely talk about until they've actually tried it. Now, let's talk about the claim of high output at close range. The manufacturer says the combined irradiance reaches about 2 milliwatts per centimeter at a distance of roughly 6 inches. In plain language, that translates to a relatively strong dose if you sit close enough for the recommended duration. For someone using the panel for skin health things like tightening fine lines or reducing post-exercise inflammation, this level of output is comparable to professional clinics, assuming you stick to the proper timing. I didn't have the lab equipment to verify the exact numbers, but the felt warmth at the closest setting was noticeable without being uncomfortable, which correlates with a decent power delivery. Who should definitely consider adding this panel to their setup? If you already have a home gym or a dedicated yoga space and you're looking to layer recovery tools without spending a fortune on a full-body infrared sauna, the AD Max fits nicely. Athletes who do heavy weightlifting or runners who do lots of mileage will find the ability to step in, soak up the light, and step out within 1,015 minutes a real time saver. It also appeals to anyone focused on skin health. Regular users have reported smoother texture after a few weeks of consistent use, which aligns with the known benefits of red and near-infrared wavelengths. The included door hanging kit means you can mount it in a gym locker room or even a bedroom doorway, turning an otherwise idle space into a functional therapy area. Conversely, if you're a casual exerciser who only hits the treadmill once a week, or you're looking for a set-and-forget device that requires zero interaction, you might skip this one. The panel needs you to be present for the session. It's not a passive device you can leave on while you nap. Also, if you have limited ceiling height or a cramped studio, the 8-inch height could be a bottleneck literally. I found the best placement was either against a solid wall or hanging from a door, but on a low-ceiling loft it forced me to crouch a bit, which isn't the most comfortable position for a 30-minute session. There are a few practical strengths that stand out. First, the metal housing and built-in cooling system prevent the unit from overheating, even after multiple back-to-back sessions. That durability is more than just a feel-good factor. It ensures the LEDs stay at a consistent output without thermal throttling, which can otherwise lower effectiveness. Second, the remote gives you the freedom to adjust settings without stepping away from the panel, a tiny convenience that feels surprisingly luxurious when you're mid-workout and want to switch from a 660 nanometers red mode to a 850 nanometers near-infrared mode for deeper tissue penetration. Third, the panel's length really does provide full body coverage. In my tests, a full body stretch under the light allowed the knees, hips, and shoulders to receive fairly even exposure, something I rarely see with the smaller 24-inch models.